Spy and Star Trek were sister shows. Is that being shot right next to door to each other on the same network, the whole thing? Is that Culp and Gene Roddenberry both were into theme. This story has to be about something. What is this story trying to say? Don't just give me a great hook. Let's not just do a fun gimmick. What are we trying to say with our characters in this particular story? And Culp understood theme, and Gene Roddenberry understood theme.
Oh, yeah.
I think I told you when I pitched to Gene Roddenberry over at Next Generation, and I pitched the episode Sarek to him. He loved the idea of a Vulcan going through senility, but even though he loved the idea, that wasn't going to make him buy it. Because after I told him the idea and it caught his attention, and we had a great conversation about what would happen to a Vulcan going through senility and how could that affect the characters around him and all this stuff, and it was a great talk. And I'm thinking, I've sold a script, but I hadn't yet. Because he came back with one question, and if I hadn't answered this question right, I don't think I would have sold the script. And he came back and he said, "But what's the theme? What do you want to say with this?" And fortunately, I had the right answer. But that's doing these books and going through all of Gene Roddenberry's memos. That's what would always be the top question with every episode they did: is what are we trying to say with this particular story? Well, Culp told me the same, and Gene was the only producer who ever did that to me. No other producer in all my years ever asked me what the theme was. They didn't care, or they didn't even understand theme. Gene was the only one who did. And Vic Mignogna did. Vic Mignogna did when I did a script for Star Trek Continues. He asked me what the theme was. And they were the only two. But when I was talking to Bob Culp in all those conversations, he would talk to me about why it was so difficult for him to commit to TV shows and to take a lot of TV parts. And he said, because the stuff is infantile. It's just awful. I said, well, it's fun. That was a fun show there that you did. And he says, yeah, but it didn't say anything. So he came from that same school of thought.
I got to ask you a question.
Which wasn't taught in any school.
Mark, I got to ask you, American Greatest Hero, how did he feel about that, his part in it?
He liked that. He liked the show because he knew it was a comedy, and he loved comedy. He loved drama. He knew he wasn't going to be able to do any drama in that show, but he loved Terry and the Pirates, so he didn't have any problem with the kind of the superhero idea of it all, and he liked the comedy, and he liked his cast members. He liked the working relationship, and the other thing he liked is that it allowed him to write and direct again. He got to write and direct a few episodes for the series, which was something he loved doing. So that was part of his contract, that if he did the show, he could do that. So he was getting what he wanted to get from it. And I remember he hosted Saturday Night Live when he was doing America's Greatest Hero. And he really enjoyed doing that. He was on there, and he brought his daughter on. He was holding his daughter as a little girl when he was on that show at the very end when they ran the credits, I seem to think. And the one who went off to Hong Kong to be a teacher. And so he really enjoyed that period of his life. He enjoyed doing that show, and he enjoyed what was going on. He felt that the show was kind of running out of gas, that it was good. The joke kind of had run out after the first year or so, and the show, it did about 2.5 seasons. He felt that was probably about half a season too much, but it didn't have the power of I Spy, obviously. But he enjoyed it. He knew it was just entertainment, and for entertainment, he thought it was good.
One other thing here before we start talking about your books and stuff. I remember an episode of Bill Crosby on his show where he took a nap on the couch, and all of a sudden, here's Kelly Robinson. And, and that was so clever to do that. And I forgot about that. Yeah, that was they did a reunion on the Cosby Show. Oh yeah, and that was so warm, and you got drug right into it.
Well, they were on Cosby. I think was a guest host on Johnny Carson a few times, and he had Culp on. And Culp didn't do very many talk shows. He didn't like doing the talk shows, but he came on to be with Cosby. I mean, these guys really were brothers, and blood brothers, and a great movie. If your listeners haven't seen it, a movie I love, and Bob really loved it, was Hickey and Bob.
Oh, yeah.
Hickey and Boggs from 1972. Culp directed it, and it stars him and Cosby. So it was a few years after they finished doing I Spy, and they did this movie together called Hickey and Boggs, where they play. It's a very dark movie where they play down and out private detectives, and there's no humor in it, but you still feel the love between these two characters, even though they're mad at each other for a portion of the movie, and they're kind of like seem a little fed up with each other, but at the end of the movie, you see again that each of these guys would give their life for the other.
You know, all the critics said the movie sucked, and when you watch it, you know, I maybe it was too soon after I Spy. Maybe that was the problem. But the movie was way ahead of its time, and it had the great drama, it had the writing, and it almost made you feel like you were watching an I Spy movie in a way. It drew you.
Arthur Hill did the script with Bob Culp. Bob Culp co-wrote the movie, but he didn't take a writing credit. But him and Arthur Hill did the script. Bob Culp directed it. Fuad Sayed, the Cinemobile guy, was the producer. He found the money to finance it, and it's starring Bob and Bill. I mean, how can it lose? And it's film noir. I mean, it's a very dark private detective film noir type movie, and I think the reason, and it got mixed reviews. It got some good reviews, but more so bad. And I think the reason it got mixed reviews, and you just said it, it was too soon after I Spy, and I Spy was showing 5 days a week around the country, and everybody wanted more I Spy. And you didn't get the comedy. It was very dark, and I think that probably it got a bad reaction.
Yeah, I think so, and I think it was anytime it's on cable, I make sure I watch it. Now, tell the people how they can find your books, your website, and all this stuff, Mark.
Well, marccushman.com is my website. I don't know if anybody ever goes there. I don't go there, but I know I have one. But my main publisher, the one that I Spy, was actually published by McFarlane and Company, and so you can get that book on Amazon. And all my other books recently have been with Jacobs Brown Media Group, and so it's at jacobsbrownmediagroup.com. My Star Trek books are called These Are the Voyages, so you can go to thesearethevoyages.com, and it'll take you to the Jacobs Brown site as well. And my first Star Trek book, we did a 3-book set on the original series, 1 volume on each season, and they're like 600 pages each because they're filled with all the memos and everything, and very dramatic. I mean, really a dramatic show, and you're hearing the Roddenberry and everybody else talking about each episode in their memos and fighting to get each episode made with the network and with the budgets and so on. So it's a very dramatic telling of the story in a lot of their own words. So we did 1 book for each season. They won a Saturn Award as Literary Achievement of the Year and so on. And but the first one, the first volume, season 1, just came out yesterday as an audiobook.
Oh, wow.
And it's the most ambitious audiobook anybody's ever made, that Jacobs Brown did. And it's got a cast of 100.
Oh, wow.
Vic Mignogna, who plays, I'll send you a copy, you got to hear this thing. Vic Mignogna, who plays Captain Kirk in Star Trek Continues, is the primary reader. He reads all of my words. But every time he says, and then Gene Roddenberry wrote, and we hear the memo, another voice comes in, or a quote, and Gene Roddenberry said, or Dorothy Fontana said, or Stan Robertson at NBC said, or wrote, another voice comes in for those quotes and for those memos, and that's where the cast of 100 comes from. And of those people, we got a lot of the original participants from Star Trek. We didn't get Shatner. Shatner gave me an interview. Wonderful. I really like Bill Shatner, but he's not going to come out and do an audiobook and do days and days and days of recording. You couldn't afford him. So Vic did Shatner because he plays Captain Kirk, so he's able to kind of do a Shatner voice. But we got, Leonard was going to do it, but he passed away, so we got Adam Nimoy, who looks and sounds a lot like his dad, to come in and do him. Of course, James Doohan's gone, so we got Chris Doohan, his son, who plays Scotty on Star Trek Continues and looks and sounds just like his dad, to come in and do him. Nichelle is having bad health, so we got her sister to come in and do her. We have Gene's son, Rod Roddenberry, on there. We have Dorothy Fontana, D.C. Fontana, came in and did all of her quotes and read her memos. She was the story editor and one of the top writers on the show. And so she's reading memos that she wrote 50 years ago and all that stuff. So, it's really an amazing production that I had very little to do with, other than the fact that it's based on my book. So I can say it's an amazing production. I'm not patting my own back. Vic did an incredible job. So it just came out yesterday. Amazon will have it in a few weeks, and all my books are on Amazon too. Everything's on Amazon, but it's only available exclusively through Jacobs Brown right now. So again, that address is jacobsbrownmediagroup.com or thesearethevoyages.com, and it goes to that website, and you can find the audiobook, and it's 28 hours long.
Oh wow!
It was a 600-page book. It's 28 hours, so it's like a mini-series. In sound, with all these different voices and music cues and everything else, telling the entire story of the creation of Star Trek, the first season. There's like almost an hour on each episode. And if anybody thinks, I don't want to listen to them talking about an episode for an hour, these are the memos. This is everything that went into making it. You listen to that, and then you watch the episode. And you're going to be watching it like you never watched it before. So that's what this audiobook does. So that's available at their website. In a few weeks, it should be up on Amazon as well.
Oh, Mark, fantastic. You need to get me a copy of the I Spy book autographed. If I can just put it right there. Anyway, Mark.
It's on its way.
I'll
put the audiobook in there, too, for the Star Trek thing.
I'll send you over my address. But, hey, Mark, it's been really great having you on the show. And,
It's been really great having you back.
Well, it's good to feel good. I was scared. When you're off the air for a while, it almost felt like the very first time back in 1977 or 76 when I got into broadcasting. The very first time I got behind a microphone, on a commercial radio station, I hit the button after the record, and I kind of froze. It was almost the same way. If it wouldn't have been for you tonight being the guest, I might have been kind of scared to go back on because, after a period of time on to get back on, it's kind of hard to do.
Is this your first one back?
Well, I had a promo.
You did a couple last week, you said, right?
With a
shorter
friend.
Ones?
Yeah, I did one with a friend. We did it, a real short show.
Well, I'm glad I could be one of the ones to help you get back into the chair.
Well, I want to thank you.
Now, here's what I'm going to do for you, because I hope you don't mind me saying this, but we were talking before the show, and I know you have to go have a little surgery for the injury that you had done. So you will be doing some more time in bed. So I'm going to send you the I Spy book, and I'm going to send you the audiobook, the 28-hour audiobook. So when you're in bed, you can listen to 28 hours about the making of Star Trek from the people who made it. And you can read the I Spy book and watch those episodes. So make sure you have your full season DVD set on hand, and you'll get through those few days or week in bed, and it won't be so bad.
Oh yeah, because I'll be honest with you, I'm not a TV fan because I just don't like how TV has developed. But I will say, if I could see a repeat of I Spy on TV, I will say on a cable, it was some weird cable channel back here about 3 weeks ago that actually ran a marathon of I Spy. And
that's great.
And you know what? I was glued to it.
Well, you got to go get the. I don't make any money off of this. I don't have a piece of it, but go get the box set from Image Entertainment. You can get it on Amazon. It's like $40. $40 for like 80 episodes, and now you'll be ready. You got to get ready for this little bit of downtime you're going to have. So we'll get you the audiobook. We'll get you the book. You go get yourself that DVD set, and you may have a damn good time in bed.
At my age, no. Hey, Mark, like always, maybe we can get you back on here a couple months after I have my surgery. Get you back on, especially after I read the book and listen to hours of Star
we
Trek.
could play some clips to the audiobook, and I could bring a bunch of the Star Trek people on if you want.
Oh, that'd be great.
We'll do a Star Trek show. We'll get some of the actors and get Dorothy